I don't think influencers are dying out. They have massive impact when people use them in the right way. So when they really make sense for a product or a business, they can be really powerful. Companies that have the money for influencers that have millions and millions of followers, yes, if they do it properly, they have a massive place with them. But it has to be done well.
Hi guys, thank you guys so much for joining our podcast here. So Zoe, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I want to be able to give a little bit of a quick intro and a quick story. I met Zoe, actually we met for the first time in person probably about 6 months ago. However, Creator Flow had an event and, just ever since meeting you, your hospitality, your energy to be able to communicate and allow me to also express myself has been amazing. So guys, Zoe here is a detailed-oriented professional with over a decade of experience across sales, business development, and relationship management in the TV industry and UGC Marketing Technology Center. Her career spans initiating and growing partnerships with global companies such as Disney, Paramount, leading agencies, and fast-scaling e-commerce brands. More recently, she specialized in the UGC and content creator marketplace space, helping e-commerce founders and marketing teams access authentic content at scale. Alongside driving commercial growth, her extensive experience in contract negotiation, drafting, and compliance with a particular passion for the legal and administrative side of business operations. As the account manager at Creator Flow, her skills and having a passion and vision with attention to detail, strong focus on accuracy and precision in contracts, briefs, reports, and budgets, her contract management with over 10 years, her ability to maintain relationships, a proven track record of building and maintaining strong client relationships, your experience with TV, now, of course, here at Creative Flow, agencies and e-commerce brands, your ability to have that sales and negotiation in pitching, presenting, closing high value deals in competitive markets, your ability with business development and research, collaboration, UGC marketing, and the creator economy. And she's really, really, guys, a very, very fast typer at 6'7" WPM with her IT skills and her experience. Zoe, it's a pleasure to have you here again as the account manager of Creative Flow. And I think this is a perfect time in marketing, in what we're seeing with content going, to have you on the show. So thank you so much for coming and being able to share your expertise and your experience.
Yeah, thank you for having me and for that lovely introduction.
Marketing is all about storytelling. Dad, when we first started this business, what did you say to me?
I said, yes, we do a podcast.
Why?
Because I want to tell our story.
Why?
Because I know the story builds a legacy.
Builds a legacy. And that is exactly what we do here at ETS Rubasha Media. We market your story on social media so you could build a legacy for those who come after you, to build your business and your personal brand.
Yeah, follow us on our platform. Go on our website, etsrubashamedia.com.
This is about legacy, and it is about showing up on social media every single day, because if you don't show up, your competition will. No worries at all. So where does this all come from? Can you take us back where this passion started with all those things I just mentioned? I know that was quite a big intro, but where did this all start?
Way back. So before even university, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I think so many people have that where they don't know what they want to do. And I knew there was some things that I was interested in. TV presenting was something that had always interested me for like kids programming and things. And so when I went to university, I went down the TV production route and I started my career there. So my degree just led to it really. And I started working on all sorts of TV shows when I graduated as runners, researchers, production secretaries, you name it, I would do it. It's that kind of industry where you kind of take the opportunities where you get them. There were some things I worked on that I loved, some things that I hated, but ultimately that freelance lifestyle was not for me. So I kind of looked for something in that creative space because I loved the industry that was a bit more kind of, I guess, secure. And I ended up finding TV distribution, which is so niche and amazing. And you learn so many different things in distribution. I was selling the rights to TV programs. So that would mean that I was having to build relationships with channels and producers and broadcasters all over the world, and I was given specific territory. So I started off selling to African broadcasters and producers, and I got to go to South Africa, and then I got to sell to the European ones. So I would go to Poland and I'd go to Budapest, and it was such a cool time to travel and be young in my career and meet people, and it gave me confidence meeting new people and networking and going to conferences and things like that. And I absolutely loved it. I really did. But I think as I kind of went through my career, I needed a change. I needed something new. I wanted to learn new things. Not that I didn't have more to learn in TV. Of course I did. There's so much to learn and it's changing every day. But I started working for Creative Flow just over a year ago. And marketing was very new to me, still is. I have so much to learn, but the account management side of things has come quite naturally just from people, just getting to know people, talking to people, finding out what they need, finding out what they like, and even just who they are and how, just their person is what I enjoy. And I've really loved working in this industry because the types of brands and companies that need user generated content is huge, and it's so vast that I get to talk to all types of industry and all types of business. And I think that's really cool because now one day I'll be speaking to someone who's selling beauty products and makeup, and the next day I'm talking to someone who's selling sticky suction things that go on the back of your phone, or someone that's creating a finance app, or that offers insurance, or whatever it could be. And it's just so varied, and I really like that, especially when you're talking to the smaller e-commerce brands or startups. It can be really interesting because they're just coming up with some concepts that you just didn't know existed, and also stuff that you think, oh, I need that. And then comes to Christmas or birthdays and you're like, I know what I'm going to buy that person. So yeah, it's been fun just to have so much variety.
When you were a child, when Zoe was a child, a little girl, what was your dream?
I wanted to be a vet. I loved animals. I still love animals. I just wanted to be a vet, and I wanted to be a safari vet. I wanted to work at the zoo, and I wanted to do that until I was about 13, I think. And then I realized biology was hard and science was hard, and I don't think I liked my teacher very much. And I sort of veered across and kind of left that dream. But yeah, it's funny that I used to write a lot as well. I used to write a lot of stories when I was a kid. And all my teachers would say, oh, she's going to be an author one day. Not yet. Maybe one day.
Maybe
I
one
thought
day.
about writing a kid's book one day.
Did any visions of being on television appear through that time?
Yeah, when I was in my early teens, I was really interested in hard-hitting documentaries. I watched a really heartbreaking documentary called The Dying Rooms by a production company called True Vision, and it grabbed my attention like nothing else. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to make this type of documentary. That's initially why I went into TV and did my degree. But I kind of ended up going down more of a production route than a broadcast journalism route. So the sort of TV that I started making was a lot less serious than what I had anticipated, and probably not the route that I'd imagined in the first place. So that I kind of changed from that as well, I guess. And then when you get older and now I've got a family and I've got a kid, and I think that dream of going off to dangerous places and doing serious, scary journalism is probably slightly less, just because of the risks involved and what I've got back home that, I look after. But yeah, that's what sort of I first wanted. And then I loved Blue Peter. I don't know if anyone knows Blue Peter. It's a UK kids show. I thought, oh, being a Blue Peter presenter was amazing. And I realized quite quickly during my degree that I wasn't very good at presenting. So I forgot about that one as well.
So if we fast forward to where you are now, what does account manager mean? What is that?
Building relationships, making sure that people feel that they can come to you for help in terms of, getting what they need from our product or service. If they've got issues, I can always be a first point of call, even though we have a customer service team as well. I try and take accountability, or I try and have sort of like a leadership role sometimes if I see that issues aren't maybe being focused on, I can kind of see which clients need help more quickly, or if there's something easy that can be done and I have time to do it and customer service is backed up, I'm quite happy to jump in because I've got that relationship with the clients and I want them to be happy. Like I want them to enjoy our service and to keep coming back. But it obviously has that sales component as well. So I'm trying to see how we can sort of fit our services and our features and our concierge and everything else that we have into that what they need. And if it works for them, I will try and obviously encourage them to purchase those things. But I've never been a hard sales girly. So I think account management fits me a lot better in that I prefer for it to be real and for me to really be selling or offering things that I genuinely believe the client will benefit from. So I think it's learning just about the brand, the agency, the client, and knowing like what they need and spending time doing that.
Interesting. And, being on LinkedIn, that majority of our audience comes from and where this goes live. For example, a lot of chief marketing officers who are watching this, or just in general, can you explain the concept of creative flow? Like, what is creative flow? And then we can get
Yeah.
into the nitty gritty stuff.
So we are an online marketplace where you can come to discover and find content creators who are talented and skilled at making user generated content style ads and content for your social media posts, for your website, for your meta ads, and that you can own fully. So instead of maybe going and doing big gifted campaigns where you send your products out and people post on their own pages and channels about your product, it gives you a way of getting complete ownership of that content so that you can place it where you need to place it and put it where you need to put it. And we're not really we're not focused on followers or influencers as such. We're focused on content creators. So just people who are good at making content that engages and converts. So to be a creator on the site, you don't have to be an influencer. You don't even have to have an Instagram account, really. You just have to know how to make content for those social media platforms that works really well and that captures people's attention. And brands can either use the platform completely self-service, and there's fixed rates and full usage rights and all those things that make it a lot easier for them than going direct. Or you can come to us and we can offer you a concierge service where we help you with scripts, briefs, strategy, making the order, shortlisting creators, all those things. So we definitely don't call ourselves an agency, and majority of the time we don't act as one either. But if you do want our help to use the platform and to dive a bit deeper into what's needed for your campaigns, then we can.
So who would you say your customers are? And, from that question there, where are you guys trying to expand in maybe that customer advertiser, trying to get more of that same person? Or is it also is there different variants of, okay, the startup to the big company? Or so who would you say is your customer?
Like you said, massively varied, as I mentioned at the beginning, but we do have the startups and the very small e-commerce brands that are just launching and just trying things. So they might have very small budgets and they may only want to try 1 or 2 videos for their ads or their website to do a testimonial and see how it goes. Because our rates are fixed, it's quite easy to figure out how much something's going to cost. And if you only want to purchase 1 or 2 videos, you can. So we do have the small brands doing that, which is great. And we encourage that because hopefully as their brand grows, they'll use it more and more and then they'll scale up. But then we also have much larger companies. Hoselink is a big company for us. YouFoods and HelloFresh are huge companies. Koala have been using us. And then we've got agencies, that are using us too, which is amazing. Like we just did a campaign or helped publicists with a campaign, which is awesome. And we love having the agencies because they obviously come back time and time again if they enjoy using the site, because they've got heaps of different clients as well that need content. So we want all types of client to keep coming. We do love getting an agency on we would love to see more agencies knowing about us or being aware of us, just because we think if their clients need content quickly and at scale, it is a really great solution. And they can either use our platform on their client's behalf, or they can recommend us to their client, and it solves a problem. So yeah, we like having all of those types of company, but I think agencies are a particular interest for us at the moment.
You talked about something a little bit earlier in regard to influencers, and I want to get to that a little bit. On the larger scale, the bigger companies, who is that relationship that you build? Is it the CMO or is it the CEO? Again, if of course, a bigger company to be able to have a CMO there at a certain level. So yeah, when it comes to using Creative Flow, who would that person be?
When it comes to the e-commerce brands and companies and the smaller brands, can be the CEO or the founder that I'm speaking to. And often that person is everything, right? So they're doing the lot. They are the marketing manager, they are the salesperson, they are but then when it comes to the bigger companies, it's more the marketing teams. So the head of marketing or head of creative or head of social media, those are generally the people that we're in direct contact with.
And so when it comes to like again that influencer conversation, where do you think the world is going in this space right now? Do you think influencers are kind of dying out a little bit? Because it's true, like you said, now you can use everyday creators and you can own that content instead of waiting for someone to post something. And that doesn't even guarantee you're going to get sales or anything. So yeah, what do you think about that space at the moment?
I don't think influencers are dying out. I think there's still a huge space for them and a need for them. They have massive impact when people use them in the right way. So when they really make sense for a product or a business, I think that they can be really powerful. And I think, companies that have the money for influencers that have millions and millions of followers, yes, if they do it properly, they have a massive place with them. And even smaller companies, I've seen some e-commerce brands obviously invest all their money into having multiple influencers, and it works, right? You quickly see their product all over Instagram, but it has to be done well. And I think people have to be very smart. User generated content is growing hugely, and I do think people are realizing that it doesn't have to be influencers, and sometimes influencers don't make sense. um, they might not have as much reach as, placing a very well done meta ad where it needs to be at the right audience, because you have so much more control there of who you're targeting, and what demographics are going to see your product. So yeah, I think it's given another option that is really important, really powerful, and I think it's really helping brands as well.
And what do you notice, like coming from the TV industry, with marketing today? Like, should these big brands still be going and spending that budgets on television commercials? Should it be more on socials? What are your thoughts on that aspect of things?
Oh, I wouldn't want to pretend to be like an expert in that area, in terms of TV ads, but I think that side of TV is getting hard, right? Like more and more people are watching streamers now. So companies might be focusing more on, streamer ads and things like, because so many of those streamers now are introducing adverts, or even fast TV. So, like Samsung TV and things like that, like Roku, they might be focusing their adverts in those places. Whereas traditional TV, yes, like if you're going to pay all that money to put your advert in between The Voice or The Masked Singer or, Survivor, then of course you're going to have an impact and you're going to reach like an amazing audience. But that budget is enormous. So for a small e-commerce brand to go and spend hundreds of thousands on an advert like that, like I don't see that making much sense. But I think it definitely still has a place for, your Bunnings and your Petstock and those big companies.
And so, what do you see? Where do you see marketing going the next 10 years? What do you see happening in this industry? Where do you think is a huge emerging market? Do you think user generated content, for example, what Creative Flow is doing, is still maybe undervalued in this current space now? Do you think it's going to get bigger? What do you see in the space, speaking to so many founders and also working with so many creators?
I definitely think there's heaps of room for UGC to continue growing. I think it has obviously skyrocketed in the last couple of years, and I think it will continue to do that. It's such an accessible way of getting ads and, that sales content that works and converts. But in terms of where it's going, it is so hard to tell. It's going to change. I think it's not going anywhere, but what it will look like in a couple of years' time is anyone's guess. It's AI is coming in. So at the moment, I think people first content is still what is working. And I think most brands recognize that. But there will be better AI created, user generated content. And there will be content creators who create AI, avatars or characters, I guess, potentially, that they create the content with. And they might be so skilled and talented at still being able to make that convert and be really engaging that we might see more AI user generated content. There'll probably be more restrictions, or hopefully, to be honest, because it is an unregulated industry at the moment in terms even influencers. And that's why Creative Flow is part of the AIM co-organization. Like, we do want to kind of focus on best practices for creators and clients to make sure that it's fair and as regulated as possible. So there will be probably more restrictions coming in from the platforms and from just the organizations, committees, everything. So that would probably change how the content looks and what the briefs look like and what people can and can't say and what they can show. And it's going to force creators to be more imaginative and really come up with some cool ideas, to think outside the box, to kind of get past those hurdles.
I think that's really fascinating what you just said there. Because sometimes we have this discussion of AI is going to come and replace. Even I've been thinking, honestly, Zoe, myself, I'm like, if an AI influencer can do what I'm doing, for like, they could just clone, like, for example, the creativity I'm doing. Why is someone going to want me as a creator when you can just literally, I can control an AI to do it, right? But like what you said, it could also move into where us as creators, because we know the juice, we can also use AI to do what we do. And then maybe just, for example, use an avatar. We can still even use ourselves, but also now the creator using the AI to then also deliver for the brand, because you can't replace like that thing of me. I see a brief and then I can just do it, and I do it in my creativity. There's no AI that can do what I can do. But
No.
if maybe I can prompt it maybe to, like, so that's very interesting what you're saying.
Yeah, I think I really believe that. I think that it's even if you're using like ChatGPT or something, right? You have to ask the question in the right way, and you still have to have done your own research to be able to correct it on things that it goes off on a tangent. And I recently, I mentioned writing, and I was writing. I tried to write like a kid story using like Claude and ChatGPT and see how it kind of came out. And I gave it an idea, and then it churned out like this sort of rhyming story, and it was terrible. It was so bad. And I sat there for ages, just get like, what about this? Why don't we change it? Why think about this? And I think you're going to need that regardless, right? Like, it will be more intuitive and it might get more creative and imaginative even, but I don't think it will replace like the human brain. I really don't.
What do you think is the biggest threat to creative flow, like with AI or technology or whatever? What do you think is the biggest threat to you guys?
I don't know, actually. I think everything has its place, right? Like, you could say, oh, well, why would I come to Creative Flow and pay for this content when I can gift a product to someone and they'll make it for free? And it's like, yeah, well, if that's what you want to do, if that's where your budget is, if that's all your budget will allow for, then that's fine too. You can get some amazing content that way. Absolutely. But we also have a bunch of creators that won't do content for nothing, and they won't just take a gift for the content. So if you want access to them, we're here. We can help you, So I think there's a place for everything. I don't see us having like major competitor at the moment. There are obviously other platforms like us, like there are some big US ones like Billo, for example, that are, I'm sure, really, really good platforms. What we're great for at the moment is the Australian and New Zealand market. So if you're looking for content creators in that market, Creative Flow is really like focusing on there. We have that, obviously one day we hope to spread and go further. But yeah, I don't know what a major competitor would be. I guess AI content for the smaller brands, because it might be cheaper in a year's time or so. I mean, I don't know how quickly people start using it, but it's certainly being used a lot for stationery marketing. So I've noticed like a lot of the stationery ads and like photos are AI generated. And I think for a small e-commerce company, that may be more attractive because they think, well, I've only got $100 to spend. So I'm going to have to use this version instead of this version. But for the bigger brands, I don't see them not wanting UGC anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. And like, I will just, a little bit of backstory. I've been a creator on Creative Flow. I started creating content, or documenting my life. And so it became a passion where it became very easy. And then I stumbled on Creative Flow. I think I Googled at the time, how do I make extra money creating content? I think I was Googling like, how can I make money doing what I love, which is creating content, right? And this was very early days when Creative Flow had different owners. And then boom, signed up on the platform. And it was incredibly powerful. Like, wow, like if I was to show my Stripe, how much I've been able to earn as a side revenue through just creating content has really, really been amazing. And then the fact that it actually works for companies, that companies, they don't have that maybe creativity, or they don't have a big team, but they could come to a platform like Creative Flow and use a variety of different creators to help them tell their story in a way that's engaging, that you can consume. So talking to the creators, actually, and attracting creators, how can that person who's maybe looking at this, or who has a passion, maybe with cats, or maybe writing children's books, or whatever it is, how can they use this platform to be able to, earn an extra income? Can you speak for also that side of as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're very, very open to different types of content creator. We've even got a few creators who have signed up as, we've got like an animal section. So they've signed up as animal. So that's them saying, I want to create content with my dog or with my cat, and they might not even feature in it. They might just film their dog or cat. So that would help any sort of pet brands or anything looking for that kind of content, because you get, or cat influencers or dog influencers or whatever. I think there was a cat influencer who actually won at the AIMCO Awards last year, which was awesome. So we're really open to different types of content creator. You do still need to meet a certain standard before we'll make your profile live, and that is because all of our paid collaborations are paid. So we have to make sure that the content creators that are doing the content for the clients that come to our site are going to deliver something of a certain standard. But that doesn't mean that we need you to have some crazy expensive camera or lighting equipment or sound, or go off and do a whole university course or degree in content creation. It's absolutely not like that at all. You could just be, and we have so many mums at home that are, might film stuff every day that they enjoy, or they may have started a small social media page and they love doing it, so they want to make more of an income from it. Just people who know how to make great content. So you can sign up free of charge on the site, and we just ask for a few video examples and an intro video, and I think it's quite easy to look at that and see straight away if someone has the right, they're engaging and they have the right idea. We prefer them to provide variety if they can, so stuff with them in it. They might do voiceover versions, they might do unboxings, they might do some testimonials, some green screen type stuff. Variety is always good, and that's mainly for the clients, so that you get picked more for the jobs, because if they can see that you can deliver different types of content, then they're more confident that if they give you a brief, you'll be able to meet that brief. And once you're on the platform, you can just pitch for jobs. So we've got a whole public brief section, and companies can upload briefs with all the information. It even shows you how much the payout will be, and you can apply for it if you want to. And that's just a short video pitch. You don't have to go and film a whole video for them. In fact, I'd encourage you not to, because they haven't paid you yet. So you just want to explain to them why they should pick you for the job. And then you go from there. You do the video and you get paid for it once it's delivered and approved. So it's a great side hustle, but it's also, for a lot of people now, a full-time job. And I think that's really cool, because people are starting off just doing bits and pieces, and then all of a sudden they're like quitting the job that they hated and they're just doing it full time. And it does offer a lot of flexibility, I think. You see people who, a lot of our creators are founders, so they've got small businesses of their own. They may have even started with Creator Flow as a business using our services, and then they become a creator because they think, oh, this is cool. So yeah, I'd say if you like making content, have a look, because it's an easy way to monetize that.
Exactly. And is there any type of creators you guys are looking for at the moment? Like in terms of a niche, is there what are you guys looking for?
Yeah, so we're still like open to all types. So we have a lot of female creators between the ages of 18 and 40. By all means, if that is you, still have a look. But we would love to see more over 45 creators, male and female. And we would love to see more male creators, especially. I think we've got over 1,000 creators on the site now, and I think we still only have around 100 male creators. So the ratio is so different. And I don't know why that is, because male creators are out there. Yeah, we really, whenever we see a new creator apply and it's a male like profile, we're prioritizing that mainly for the clients and the brands, because there are so many that need them. You know, we've had like even male like swimsuits and things, and we just don't have enough male creators who would be, you know, open to something like that, because it's a bit more, well, it just depends on who you are, of like whether you do it or not. So the more we can get in, the more likely we are to be able to fill those types of jobs and briefs. And we also struggle sometimes to find creators who are willing to attend events or go to a location to film, just because it puts them out a little bit more. So I'd love to see some creators who are, you know, happy to travel around and have new experiences and go to different events and locations, as well as film at home. That would be quite cool. And maybe, and you know, we're focusing on how we can encourage that too. Like, do we include like another section that brands pay more for that? And that is probably something that we'll introduce in the future. So it's also our responsibility to figure out ways to encourage creators to want those jobs. But yeah, male creators and older creators, or I say older, but over the age of 45, so not old, but yeah.
Yeah, like my dad's age. You know, I might have to tell my dad to hop on Creative Flow. But that's really interesting that you said, wow, over 1,000, and only, so this is a great opportunity, and it's true. I wonder why that is. Is it an awareness thing? Do they men not know, or is sometimes it's a bit more easier for women to create content? I don't know. That's a very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if, going back to like my generation when I was at school, I imagine like maybe especially for younger men, maybe it's like a peers thing. You wouldn't want to. It's embarrassing. I don't know. Like I have no idea. It's Are they more perfectionist? I haven't, like, they think, no, this isn't good enough. I can't. I'm not sure. Um, because there are definitely a lot of male influencers out there. Yeah, we've had some. In fact, this could be male or female, but we've had like golf briefs come in sometimes where creators have got, you know, they want the creators to actually go to a golf course, and those sort of things are really hard because it's location specific. So they have to find creators like within the area, but then also interest specific. So whenever I get like people on that are tradies or DIY or sports interests or like anything, like, you know, particular, I really like that as well. And I try and remember them because then I see brands come in and I'm like, I know who would work really well for you.
I love it. I love it. So, and as I said, I think as a creator myself, also being busy in what I do, being able to have creative flow just there again, because someone could even ask, well, why didn't I go direct to the brands? Well, I don't have time for that. I'm incredibly busy. I don't mind. Of course, if a brand comes to me and offers me, a 6-figure check or something that I don't really, okay, fair enough. I'm not going to say no. I could still use creative flow though, for there's so many other jobs that are going to come that I don't have to go and search for. Right? It's just already there that comes to me, and then I'm getting value out of it, but then I'm also delivering value. And then, it's just all a big ecosystem, and the brand is also happy with it as well because they're getting what they need. They run ads on that and boom, happy days for them.
Yeah, I think it is just like an amazing platform to just exist, really. I think it's just really useful for multiple people. And I also think, like, even if it's just for a time in your life, right? Like I always mention I got made redundant a while back. And if I had been doing UGC, it would have been a really good way to just take the pressure off. Just, do a few videos in the week and to know that your phone bill's paid and your water's paid, and it wouldn't be less stressful because you've got that fallback. So even if you don't want to make it like a full-time thing, it's a really good option to it's a safety net in a way, I guess, as well. I mean, we do like to have creators on the site that are using it frequently, but if you're not using it, you can change your profile to unavailable so that you're not getting contacted by brands or, just cluttering the site, if you like. But yeah, I think it's great. In terms of how much you're earning from it, it depends on how many jobs you're accepting and which jobs you're accepting. You don't have to accept the jobs that are only like a 15-second video. You can just look for the longer ones or the ones that have lots of additional extras. But I think the fact that there's no exclusivity, you're not tied to only, you can work for YouFoods one day and then you can go and work for DoorDash the next, or HelloFresh, or well, the same company, but that kind of thing. So I think that's quite attractive too, is that there's no tie, there's no contract to a certain brand or agency. You can go and work for whoever. And equally, if you have got an exclusive agreement with a brand or a company, so say you have an exclusive agreement with a certain tool company or brand, then you just wouldn't accept those jobs. You would just go and look for beauty jobs or wellness or sports or fashion, whatever it is.
Love it. What would you say your vision is? What's Zoe doing in the 10 years from now?
I honestly have no idea. Life changes so much, like, even from just what we were talking about before, like uni, from TV production to distribution to this. And I was living in England and now I'm living in Australia, and, life can change heaps. But I think I am really enjoying the concierge side of my job at the moment. So I do really like helping brands come up with a brief. I like finding the right creators for the brand. So the actual, like, I suppose, creative side of it, I really like at the moment. So who knows, maybe I'll do more of that. Maybe I'll, be more focused on the actual content creation itself. But I do really enjoy just meeting people and talking to people. I work a lot in a co-working space by myself, or I work from home, and those days that you get to actually have like a proper interaction with someone are definitely the days that I've got more energy. So I don't see that ending anytime soon. I don't see myself becoming a founder who's just working by myself. I don't think it's for me, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, love it. Okay, so before we end off, I want to play a game, and what I'm gonna say a word, and then whatever word comes to your mind in one word, you can say, and then I can get you to explain it. Okay, passion.
Creativity.
Explain.
Ideas. I think it's just so fun when someone, even within like my team, if we're talking about how we can improve the product, or I could be at home with my husband and we come up with an idea for the house because we're renovating, just coming up with ideas with other people, find really energizing and fun. I love it when you come up with an idea that you think is like great and other people really like it as well. I think it just gives me a lot of drive.
Motherhood.
Hard. Oh, it's amazing, but it is hard. It is hard. Everybody knows that. I think it's the most challenging thing I've ever done and
Wow.
the most rewarding. It's beautiful, but it's exhausting and magic. It's everything, but it's just something totally different from work or any other demands that life throws at you because there's such high stakes. Like it means so much more than anything else, right? It's like that's your most important job in the world is to make sure that that human is healthy and happy and becomes a good person. So it's hard.
I like that. Marketing.
Huge. It's such a big world. There is so many things to consider with marketing and so many different options and ways that people can market a company or a brand from email to content, social media to out of home advertising. It is such a massive world that I have only just touched the surface of. There are still so many things that my manager or my teammates say because they've worked in marketing their whole lives and or their whole adult lives, and I'll say like, what does that mean, like little acronyms and stuff, and I'm like, what is that? I'm like, no idea. There's a lot to learn. I think even if you have worked in marketing for 10 years, you may have only worked in a couple of sections of it, so it's massive.
I agree with that. Also, marketing is life. Everything we've known our whole lives has been marketed to you. Like it runs the economy, like literally runs
Yeah,
the economy.
scary is probably another word that comes to mind. I think you and I mentioned the other day how you do realize, but it takes you a while to realize how you've been sucked into something so easily. And not, it doesn't even have to be social media, but it's just like you just keep seeing something and you don't realize that it's finding you like everywhere you go. And you just buy it, or you'll be looking at it online, or you'll go down this rabbit hole and you've like lost consciousness for an hour just thinking about something that you wouldn't even think about at the beginning of your day. And that's scary. I think it is scary how powerful it is.
Very, very true. Resilience.
Strong. I think resilience is something that sometimes I can be really good at and other times I can be really bad at. And I think when you are having a time that you're not being very resilient and you're not kind of tackling the hurdles of life or work well, that's when you need support. And I think that's when having a network or family or friends or just even a distraction, something that you love that you can go away and do for a while, I think is so important. It's, if I'm not being resilient, I need my husband. He'll be honest with me and tell me like, come on, you're stronger than this. Like it is what it is. Let's suck it up and carry on. And I think everybody is resilient at times. Sometimes they don't realize it, but I think we're all resilient.
Love it. E-commerce.
Confusing whenever our team talks about e-commerce, like which e-commerce companies have signed up today. It blows my mind because I don't know some of the time. I don't know how to differentiate e-commerce from other things because I feel like now it's getting blurred a lot. There are companies that are clearly just e-commerce. They've just signed up, they made a website and they're selling from that website. But then you'll have companies who have websites that are selling and they also have stores and then they're branching out into other things and they've got services. And so it's becoming confusing to me about what is e-commerce and what isn't.
Let me ask you, outside of e-commerce, B2B, B2C, which one, in your opinion, because also Creative Flow, for example, is B2B in terms of who your customers are. What do you think has a quicker sales cycle, B2C or B2B? And should maybe a company, and this is both on e-commerce and service, it could be a B2C that has service, there could be a B2C that has e-commerce. So on both sides. So yeah, which one do you think has a quicker sales cycle?
Quicker, I would say probably, I want to say B2C, but I could be wrong. I think maybe I'm thinking about the wrong type of businesses, but I imagine most B2B is a more, not all the time, but there's a lot of times because it's a service, it's probably a bigger commitment to whoever's purchasing. It's something that they need that's probably going to take longer than, just a quick buy that mascara or buy that t-shirt or buy that barbecue. If you're buying somebody's services and you have to, I think it might take a bit more trust as well because you're really relying on them for something, you know? Obviously, there are products that people buy that are very expensive, and that might be a bit of a slower decision process. But in general, I'd probably go with B2C. It's quicker.
Yeah, I agree. And then would you also say on the B2C side, even like you just mentioned there, if it is a higher ticket and maybe it's a B2C, but it's a service like maybe, there's investment advice or marriage, I don't know, right? But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? On the B2C service, high ticket compared to B2B service, high ticket?
So you mean, is it quicker? Sorry, repeat that.
The sales cycle.
Yeah, I think if you're buying like an insurance or like a loan or something like that, that's a big decision, right? So it's definitely going to be a slower process. Sometimes you may just call a comparison site and quickly switch your energy services over. That can be pretty fast. I think it just depends. It really is dependent on what it is.
Compared to the, let's say, B.
Or B2B?
Like if you.
No, I would still say B2B is probably slower. I think it's probably harder still.
Yeah.
And also, it's all competitive. It's also competitive. But with B2B, I think the relationship side of things becomes even more important. They really need to like trust and get to know, why that company to help them run their business.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I've seen the same thing. The last question actually was relationships. I wanted to ask that. Relationship, what word comes to your mind when I say relationships?
People. It's just about people. I very rarely meet with my clients in person these days. And more and more now, I think that's okay. I don't think it's a big issue, but I do think that the minute you meet in person, especially if you click with them, it changes that relationship tenfold. Even if you just meet with them at a conference for 2 minutes and say hello to them, it makes them a real person. Emails, it's so easy to get the wrong tone. And I think if I've got something difficult to say to somebody, or I think that they might not like it, a lot of people might still avoid that by sending an email. And I think it's so much better to pick up the phone because the tone of voice, just like knowing that you are understanding and a real human and a person, is really important in a relationship. I don't think you can't just have a good relationship with someone that's just sending you a text or an email all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Zoe, I want to thank you so much for your time today. You have been amazing. This was an amazing interview. I can't wait for it to be out on YouTube and Spotify and everywhere. It's out on LinkedIn at the moment. So yeah, I just really want to thank you for being a breath of fresh air. I think this has been a different conversation than we usually have in terms of really this space. So yeah, I really got a lot of value out of it. And I'm sure a lot of companies out there, whether you're the founder, the chief marketing officer, agency, I think content is king now, right? And like I just said the other day, and I see it all the time, I see every single day, there's something new that comes in the mail that my mum has ordered. And then when I see, I say, hey, mum, where, and she's like, oh, look what I got. And I said, where did you see it? And then she'll be like, Instagram. And then I'll go dive. I'm like, wait, what did you see? And then she'll tell me. And then I'm like, So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm getting like, that's my customer, or that's,
Yeah.
because she sees it. She'll see an ad on Instagram and she'll buy it. So this stuff works. Like if
I know.
and she's like, oh, it just keeps coming up. And it's things that she doesn't even need sometimes. She don't even need it. But
but I think sometimes it's not even about you, it's about someone right? So like even in this job, I was like looking through the accounts one day and I came across a company that had used us called Wrapped, and they make like almost special Tupperware that you can put wraps in ready made, and it will stop them from folding out, stop them from going soggy, all that stuff. My husband has a wrap every day for lunch. So afterwards, I was like, you've got to see. I sent him the website. I was like, this brand is so you. Like, you need one of these. He was like, oh, I need one of those. So it's not just targeted at you either. Like, you see this stuff and you instantly think of like the people around you, or send it to your friends, or, it's funny because it's a very smart algorithm.
And And that's why I think like, you know, this will continue to go on because of like that. People will always be people. We talked about the power of marketing, but that's just a classic example. Like, as I said, I see it in my home. So I'm just like, wow. So even when I'm creating content, it's an interesting because, you know, you kind of know who you're talking to, right? And, you know, when it's just, when they match, it works. It literally works. And as I said, I'm a witness to that being a creator, but seeing it in my house, I'm like,
Yeah. It's funny. And I think like as a content creator as well, that it's cool how you can choose what you advertise for, right? So some people might be like, well, this just seems wrong because you're pushing something that you may have only used for 2 days. But there are a lot of content creators that won't create the content until they've tried something for a good couple of weeks, or they won't do content for a service that they don't believe in or that they don't align with. So it's not all necessarily fake, or it can be just as authentic as somebody posting about your product online because they wanted to.
yeah, exactly. Okay, Zoe, thank you so much, guys. You guys
Thanks,
know
Sajira.
and Zoe, and we'll speak soon. Okay.
Yeah, have a great day. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hey, what's wrong? Bro, I'm stressed out. I'm running my business. I've got to serve my customers, but I need more customers coming in. I can't keep relying on word of mouth. Why don't you just use ETS Rabasha Media? Who? Well, with AI now, what they do is they go in, get your perfect clients, bring them in front of you. So all I got to do is run my business and he brings me opportunities. Think about it. You speak to 3,000 of your ideal customers, convert 1% of that 3,000. That's 30 people. 30 people in a room with you. Can you convert that? Of course I'll close them. I'm good at what I do. I just don't have time to be going and looking for my perfect client. Focus on what you love doing and let them bring you customers. When you win, they win, commission, ching. Sujira Rabasha, huh? Yeah, Sujira Rabasha. Go and Google them, man. Come on, take it to the bank.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're gonna love that one.